Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to meeting number 117 of the Canal Recreationway Commission. I'm Brian Stratt, the acting chair, and it's our pleasure to welcome you back to the NYPA Energy Zone. I think we had a meeting here a couple of years ago, but a great spot here at the Utica Zoo. But we are well below ground level, and the animals are above, I think. So all well. And thanks to our commissioners who have traveled here to be with us today, and those who are on screen joining us remotely. Let's have our commissioners who are with us introduce themselves, starting with Commissioner Vittori.
Hi, Francis Vittori from the White House, C12, Virginia Lake Champlain.
It's great. Callaway Sikowski from Canandaigua, New York. Well, hello.
Ken Roller from Orleans County. And with us on screen, just.
You must see that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Director. Steve Iacetta, Commissioner, Albany County, and Planner Emeritus for the State Upstate EPA.
Sorry about that, Steve. Okay, very good. With us on screen, Michelle Bernard. Michelle, you want to say hello and wave?
Hi.
No?
I've been muted by the host. Welcome. I'm so glad to be at least able to join you by Zoom.
Natalie Stetson, were you? I thought I saw you. It says she stepped away from her chair. Natalie Stetson is with us also, as well as Trustee NYPA and Canal Corporation Trustee B. Gonzalez. Thank you, Trustee, for being with us here today. And we have staff. We also have a couple of guests in addition to our staff. Mayor Vittori's wife, Cheryl, is with us. Thank you, Cheryl, for being with us. And Kim Vorsheimer from SK Yards Marina, and David Brooks from New York State Department of Parks, Historic Preservation, and Recreation. I probably got that confused a little bit. Also from the
Historic Preservation part. That's a very important part.
What's that? Yes, Schoharie Crossing Historic Site, where we had our wonderful Albany Symphony Orchestra concert recently. We also had agency representatives on the phone with us. Paul Byer from the Department of State, Ross Levi from I Love New York, Natalie Stetson, Commissioner Natalie Stetson, who is back in her chair now. Natalie, thank you for also being with us, and we have staff. So we don't see any of our regional planning executives with us on the screen. So before we have a quorum, so we will call to order officially meeting number 117. And as always, the first item of business is to approve the minutes from meeting number 116, which was held on May 9th, 2024, from our New York Power Authority offices in Albany. So everybody had a chance to review and read the minutes. Motion to move the minutes, moved by Commissioner Vittori, seconded by Commissioner Iacetta. Before we vote, any changes or discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes as they are, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And we have hands up on the screen. We'll count an aye from Commissioner Stetson and from Commissioner Bernard. So we have moved on that. Okay, we're going to move right into our agenda. Item number 4 is the approval of 2 property items that are coming before us today. And Real Canal Real Property Specialist Jessica Foote is back with us. Jessica, welcome back. And Jessica is going to take us through 2 items. The first of which is the proposed abandonment of approximately 0.32 acres of canal land located in the town of Colony, Albany County. Jessica.
Thank you, Director. Hello, everyone. There are 2 proposed abandonments for the Commission's consideration today. One located in the eastern region, which is a small residential request in the town of Colony, Albany County, and one in the western region, which is a small commercial request in the town of Macedon, Wayne County.
Get the property items on the screen. Just give Mike a minute here.
Thank you.
ahead, Jessica.
Our first request is for a 0.32 acre parcel located in the town of Colony, Albany County. This parcel is located on the east side of the Mohawk River behind residential property on Crescent Street in the town of Colony. This parcel is not presently needed or anticipated to be needed for the operation or maintenance of the canal system. This parcel is an irregularly shaped, gradually sloping parcel containing a fully encroaching garage constructed in 1939. The parcel is bounded on the north, west, and south by additional state land under the jurisdiction of the Canal Corporation, and on the east by land owned by the applicant. Based on a visual inspection, there are no environmental concerns associated with the requested parcel. The property has been requested by the current owner of the encroachment who has applied for a permit with the Canal Corporation. The applicant would like to cure the encroachment and have clear title to the improvements located on the property. The property is not located within a floodway. Prior to its disposition, a review by the State Historic Preservation Office for the parcel's historic and archaeological significance will be requested, and the Canal Corp will condition the deed accordingly based on SHPO's determination. The parcel is located in a residential district. Abandonment and sale of the property will have no impact on the Canal Trail. The Canal Corporation will reserve flowage rights over the property for canal purposes. Next slide, please. And here we have a couple pictures showing the parcel and the encroachment. Are there any questions about the item? No questions.
Okay, we have the first item. As always, before we get into discussion and questions, let's have a motion to move. Moved by Commissioner Iacetta, motion to second. Moved by Commissioner DeVol. Moved and seconded. Discussion on the property item. The members of the Real Property Review Committee, including Commissioner Wojciechowski, Commissioner Groller, and Commissioner Iacetta, had an opportunity to review these items with us earlier this week. So they have been pre-vetted by them to bring forward for the consideration. This is an item along the Mohawk River, not directly on the navigation channel, not far from where I live, actually, so I know where it is. Very small parcel. Relatively innocuous transaction. Any questions? Any comments? It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Any comments or questions? I'm sorry, I should have gone to the commissioners who are on screen. Commissioner Bernard, Commissioner Stetson. You can unmute and say if you have anything to add on that. I'm assuming no. Okay. All right. Next item, we'll go to them before we have a vote.
Next slide, please.
The next item is the proposed abandonment of approximately 3.7 acres of land, canal land, located in the town of Macedon in Wayne County. Jessica.
Yes, so the 3.71 acres located in the town of Macedon, Wayne County, is not presently needed or anticipated to be needed for the operation or maintenance of the canal system. The parcel has been requested for its continued use as a marina. The property is currently permitted to the applicant for use as a marina and has been since 2023. This surplus land is irregularly shaped, containing docks, green space, water, and a parking area. The parcel is bounded on the north by the canal, east and west by lands under the jurisdiction of the Canal Corporation, and on the south by the applicant for the property. The parcel is accessible through lands to the south of the property. Based on visual inspection, there are no environmental concerns associated with the requested parcel. This request is made up of blue line canal parcels appropriated during the Barge Canal improvement. Prior to its disposition, a review or consultation with the State Historic Preservation Office for the parcel's historic and archaeological significance will be undertaken. The Canal Corporation will condition the transfer if necessary, based on SHPO's recommendation. The parcel parcel is located in a marina district. Abandonment and sale of the property will have no impact on the Empire State or Canal Trail. Next slide, please. Here are a couple of pictures showing the property via Google Street View looking north, east, and southwest. Are there any questions about this item?
Before we go into discussion, let's have a motion to move.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Majority, seconded by Commissioner Iacetta. Let's put our other commissioners back up on screen. If you could, Mike. Okay, the item has been moved and seconded. If you're familiar with this property along the Erie Canal, this is the operation of the former Mid Lakes Navigation Company and the current operation of Erie Canal and Adventures. As Jessica has shown, the Canal Corporation is maintaining a small parcel along the embankment, so the actual bordering to the canal property. But the large portion of the 3.71 acres encompasses the harbor and the marina operations, and the operator would like to move to an ownership situation to be able to invest in the property further. Commissioner Wysokowski, Commissioner DeVoler, and Commissioner Iacetta have the opportunity also to review this property item with us. Any comments or discussion, questions? Commissioner Wysokowski.
Yeah, so if it's okay, I had a lot of questions about this particular property. And I don't know if the commissioners who haven't had a chance to review this have similar questions. I was asking about its use. I know it's in a marine district. You know, is it gonna stay that way? Will there be, what's gonna happen in the future? This is a great property. It's very active. There's a lot of use there. I think it's an appropriate use for being right next to the canal, but I had some concerns, and so we did voice them in the real estate meeting, and I was satisfied to bring it here. But I'm just curious if there are any other commissioners that have questions or about this piece of property.
Can you tell me a little bit about it? I mean, I don't. What their business is this? Is their business in there now?
Yes.
But they're using that property now?
And they're using it now. It has been under lease.
It's been under
Lease.
lease for several years,
Okay.
more than 20 years, I think, right?
Oh.
And the lease was through the
Okay.
town, and then the town to the business, and that's an awkward situation, and I could see where that would want to be remedied. You know, the business owner is asking now to purchase that, which also makes sense to me,
And how do you get a price for that?
and that's part of the process. I mean, you can explain that better than I, but there is a process.
So we
Jessica.
will do an appraisal, have a consultant appraiser appraise the property as if it were vacant. We do not own the improvements, and then we would sell that for the fair market value.
And that's the key there, before approved,
Yes.
correct?
For the, yeah.
Just the land value.
Just the land value, exactly.
And if I'm not mistaken, there is a bank or a wall that the Canal Corporation will maintain, right? Ownership, is that correct?
Yep.
On the
This
parcel.
way then they can't make any changes on that edge bank there, so the area will keep.
So they'll have an easement, correct?
That will just be our land
Yeah.
on the
Do
outside.
they
strip.
have to? Okay, so it's not going to them with an easement and that pays every year, so you have.
And then I had questions about the acreage that's connected to that. There's a lot of vacant land, and again, I know that it may be a little out of our purview, but I was concerned about what's going to happen to all that other acreage and how that's going to affect the marina, and is it going to continue to operate as such, or are there other factors that we should be considering? Those are some of the questions
Cal,
that I
I think
asked.
part of that property has already been earmarked by the town for a housing development project, but I don't have a whole lot of information on that. And Macedon recently received New York Forward designation for development, so it's an active parcel. But I think those are questions that are sound. I think Dave had reached out to the Keenans to find out if they had more information on what they plan to do. Did we receive any information?
Yep, so everything's gonna stay as a marina. They plan to augment the kayak launch, I think, to make it, just for improvements, make that better. They're also working closely with the town. The town is working on, I don't know if it's a town or a developer, but it's a 138 unit condo that will be nearby, so they're hoping that would bring more activity, like in the area, people launching kayaks and things like that. And the town is also working on updating their park that is nearby. So there's some.
For an accessible playground, I think. Yeah.
A lot of good improvements in there.
So it's obviously a very active parcel. It's going to be made even better, but I think Cal, you brought up some good questions to ask. Are we so comfortable moving this forward?
I'm comfortable. I am. I just thought that those were important questions, and I didn't, I like the development, and I think that makes sense. But I wanted to just be aware of what was planned, what the town was thinking, what the owners were thinking. I would hate to see an improvement and then a sale, right? I don't want to be in that position.
It's possible, I suppose, that we could get some more information. Obviously, this a sale transaction would take up to 12 months, if not more. It's possible we could get some more information from the Keenans at our next meeting, which this is only our third meeting of the year, so we still are obligated to have one more meeting before the end of the year. Perhaps more information on that.
I think I'm comfortable,
Good.
and I know the business for a long time and the area. I just wanted everyone to know that I had a series of questions, and I'm much more comfortable, so thank you.
Commissioner Stetson, Commissioner Bernard, any comments or
Yes.
questions on this property item?
Yes, I just think it's truly important to keep a going concern going. And this represents that along the canal and what we're, trying to do. And Cal and I had a meeting with others yesterday. It's a going concern, and I think it's important for us to act appropriately and keep it a going concern.
Thank you,
And it looks
Commissioner.
like Macedonia is doing other enhancements along the canal. So I think that's pretty much just what we're looking for.
I think the operators know that with the plan and development of, would you say, 130 something units for condos right there,
Yeah.
it's going to be right in their backyard and be an enhancement to people moving in there. Yeah.
Yep.
Natalie, did you have anything to add to this?
Not really. I mostly I'm not on the committee that reviews these things, but I trust my colleagues, and if they say that they're comfortable and that their questions were answered as it was first being described, I was kind of like, property ownership is hard. Leasing sounds much like, why would they want to own this piece of land? But that's mostly just from my personal homeowner experience. So I trust my colleagues if they say that they've been satisfied by their answers. I think I've heard this has been a good discussion, and so if they are comfortable, then I would be comfortable as well.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good. Everyone's had the opportunity to review. We have a motion on the table. It's been moved and seconded, and without any further comment or debate, we'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion passes. Thank you, Jessica. Very good. We're going to move into a report I'm going to give you on the update of the Erie Canal Bicentennial Commission. And Mike, if you can go to the slides for the Bicentennial Commission report. So we had the opportunity to meet last May, but in the interim, in July, the governor announced the moving forward of the Erie Canal Bicentennial Commission, naming myself along with First Gentleman Bill Hochul as the co-chairs, and we are joined on the Bicentennial Commission by Secretary of State Mosley, Empire State Development President Hope Knight, and New York State Department of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation Commissioner Pro Tem Randy Simons. And we have met twice since that time, and we'll look for the slides here. 1 second. Well, we met on August 16th and we met on October 4th. We have a lot of great things that are underway. We have a great deal of enthusiasm for the bicentennial, and we're going to go over some of those plans with you as soon as the slides come up, so I can give you an idea of what's in store coming through.
Your song and dance, Brian.
My song and dance, okay. Please wait, okay, there's showing content. There it is, just in time. We bring that full screen. There we go, very good. So, lovely aerial shot of Lock 2 along the Erie Canal in Waterford, New York, which is, you know, where we opened. And by the way, yesterday was the final day of the navigation season for 2024, and Dave will be telling us more about that. But let's go to slide number 2. And there they are, the members of the Bicentennial Commission. We've already logged 2 meetings. We are going to target our next meeting for the week of November 18th. Next slide, please. Just to review what we've accomplished in our first 2 meetings, the Commission brought several items forward. We want to ensure that as many communities as possible have got the opportunity to help us join in a statewide celebration for the bicentennial. Our partners working with us include the Erie Canal National Heritage Corridor and launching the bicentennial toolkit. We've had more than 400 people reach out to find out about that toolkit, so we're getting an active and robust contingent of communities, but we always need more. So if you know communities that would like to or that should be a part of our full statewide Erie Canal Bicentennial celebration, please have them reach out to us or reach out to the Erie Canal National Heritage Corridor. We also want to ensure that marinas and yacht clubs know about the bicentennial, and there are efforts underway to look into the opportunity for a bicentennial flotilla that would make its way east, make its way from the east to the west to the beginning of the World Canals Conference. Education programs, outreach calendar of events is going to be updated, and that will be coming forward very, very soon. We also want to work closely with the New York State Commission on African American History to reinforce the more voices theme of the bicentennial, to ensure that every story of the history of the Erie Canal is told and how it impacted everyone. We also want to look to all of the agencies to ensure that, or to explore the opportunity next year during the CFA round for bicentennial focused bicentennial incentives for proposals for CFA funding, not just for the Canal Corporation, but for other agencies that can provide funding through the Department of State, Department of Parks, and Empire State Development. So we have capital investments, and we have real opportunity to put a legacy footprint for 2025. And we're also looking, as the Seneca Chief makes its way along the canal next year, reprising the journey of Governor DeWitt Clinton, that it will arrive in New York Harbor next year on October 25th. On a Saturday, and the next day is Sunday, October 26th, will be 200 years to the day when the Erie Canal opens. So we are looking at the opportunity for a major celebration at Hudson River Park, Pier 26 in New York Harbor. So we're going to be making a site visit there in another couple of weeks, and working with some of our partners in the New York City region and our members to explore doing more. So more details on that to come, but we're optimistic. So I hope to be able to share more with you as we come into our final meeting. Also, grants and tax credits for historic preservation have been proposed by the New York State Department of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. But we are always looking for more, and we're looking for what other agencies can do. I am happy to report that while I can't give you all of the details, the New York State Lottery has got a very bold and dynamic plan to help celebrate the bicentennial next year, and you'll get your opportunity to, I'm not sure if you're going to be exempt, but we have a great opportunity for the public at large to win a lot of money and to celebrate the bicentennial. So more on that. Thank you, New York State Lottery, for stepping up to the plate. That is the impetus for other agencies to step up and see what they do. Let's go on to meeting number 2. Next slide, Mike. Meeting number 2, Commissioner Simons and Commissioner Knight both gave more information on looking at the opportunity for a major celebration in New York City at Hudson River Park. We'll be making a trip there in the next couple of weeks. Liz McAndrew of our Canal staff has won an award for a tremendous publication that we have put together, More Voices program, to talk about the true stories along the canal and all of the people that were impacted, the indigenous folks, the African Americans, and others. The Albany Symphony Orchestra has been underway in the first of a 3-year program to bring the water music, More Voices water music production back to the canal, starting off this year with 4 tiny desk concerts, including one which was a couple of weeks ago at the beautiful Schoharie Crossing State Historic Site. David, thank you very much. That was a wonderful evening. I love that place. It is beautiful. It is, if you have not been to Schoharie Crossing, you need to go there and look at the opportunity to see all 3 phases of our beautiful canal system. The one that's 108 years old and the one that's almost 200 years old are all right there. The Albany Symphony Orchestra will be coming forward next year with a series of more robust full audience concerts, and then a final series in 2026, which won't be the end of the celebration because we'll be celebrating 250 years of our nation's independence. WMHT Public Television, which is our Albany Capital Region PBS affiliate, is underway producing a documentary project, which will be prepared for airing in segments next spring, and then a full airing and preview at the World Canals Conference in Buffalo. The Seneca Chief, we received an update about the Seneca Chief's travel plans. As you know, the full-scale replica of Governor DeWitt Clinton's Packet line boat was produced and unveiled and rolled out by the Buffalo Maritime Center. We've had an opportunity to be out there many times during its construction. And it will launch from the World Canals Conference on September 24th, before the World Canals Conference wraps up. It'll be launched out of Buffalo Harbor, just as Governor DeWitt Clinton launched the real Seneca Chief 200 years ago. And it will travel over the next 30 days, stopping at communities along the canal all the way to New York City, and it will ride in New York City on October 25th. The World Canals Conference is continuing to gain steam. The 2025 World Canals Conference, we're going to receive a live update on that from Commissioner Wysokowski. The Bicentennial Toolkit is an opportunity for every community and every organization along the canal to participate and to mount your own celebration. So that we received more information on that from Gene McKay at the Erie Canalway National Heritage Corridor. And then finally, this poster that is behind me is a composite of our research from 2018 to 2024, exploring the bathymetry and the archaeological wonders and the canal artifacts at the bottom of New York State's deepest Finger Lake, Seneca Lake. So we have those posters available, and I would like the opportunity to send all of you, but I wanted to bring it to you so you can see it here. And we'll make those available. So as we know, not only exploring the history of our canal, but looking forward to the next 100 years. That's what we want to do, but the history is a very important part of it. Okay, next. The Seneca Chief journey goes on. I think I've talked a little bit about that. Beautiful photo here of the Seneca Chief being pushed along by its companion, the Tug Churchill, behind it. There in Lockport. Go on to the next slide, please. There is the journey. There is the planned journey in all 28 stops, starting in Lockport over on the far left, ending in New York City, stop number 28 at the bottom of the map. And we can give you more information that you can go or log on to the Buffalo Maritime Center's website and also find out about that. And again, looking at the opportunity for a grand finale celebration at the backdrop of Hudson River Park, Pier 26, which is pictured on the left-hand side of the screen there. I can't imagine a more symbolic and a more beautiful place. It was not on that date, October 26th, but will be close to it when Governor DeWitt Clinton actually did the wedding of the waters that occurred sometime in November, early November. I think Governor Clinton did a much faster journey to New York City than we are planning in this historic journey. But we will have a grand celebration for 200 years of the completion of the canal and the opening of the canal next October, hopefully in that backdrop. Next slide, please. Again, a summary of the publication that Liz McAndrew from the Canal Corporation produced and was recognized by the New York State Tourism Industry Association, putting together information which amplifies the lesser known stories of the Erie Canal. Next slide, please. Water music. This is the symphony orchestra series that I talked about. There are the goals there. Let's move along in that. Next slide. And as I mentioned, it began this summer and fall with a series of 5 concerts actually. Lockport was on September 26th, right there by the statues, by the Lock Tender tributes. The Albany Symphony Orchestra, a very small ensemble, performing by the statues, and then on to Little Falls on September 27th. Inside one of the historic remaining chambers of the double lock, which is next to our current lock 17. And I can't think of anything more cool than listening to a concert performed inside an actual canal lock. So that was there, except something maybe which was more cool, in my opinion, was alongside the beautiful and magnificent 1841 aqueduct at Schoharie Crossing. And that concert took place on September 28th.
Mind if I chime in with a little detail?
Please chime in.
Hi everyone, it's Rebecca Hughes. I'll just elaborate a little bit to say it's small ensembles, and they've partnered in each of these cases with emerging composers. So in classical music, it's really hard to get a forum to share your new composition. So we did this in partnership with the symphony to bring young or more diverse composers into this realm. And each of these concerts featured a different new composer, and each concert played the same new composition 3 times. So one after another with commentary by each composer. And each of the songs that they performed, these composers from all around the world embedded themselves in canal communities to familiarize with their interpretation of the canal. So they're telling these really unique, powerful stories about the canal, you know, in some cases based on web search, and in some cases based on spending time there. So it's part of this push to think about absolutely looking back on 200 years. That's what we're convening for, but also how do we bring more voices into this conversation and how do we engage new audiences? So really unique, in some cases bringing in electronic elements, in some cases partnering with vocalists. So a really, really wonderful experience. And they were all videotaped, and those pieces of footage and audio will be used to promote huge concerts next year. So that was the intended purpose. We're kind of dipping our toe, doing the mini test and learns, and then using that footage to really promote community-wide celebrations next year and into 2026 as well.
WMHT was with us at the Schoharie Crossing concert, so that'll be part of their production when that airs next year, and you don't have to live in Albany to be able to see that. That will be offered to PBS stations across the state and also nationally too, as PBS content share. So we're excited about that. Thank you, Rebecca, for bringing in the composer aspect. The next two performances are going to be in Waterloo on Friday, November 1st, and that will be inside the powerhouse of one of our Cayuga Seneca Lock 1. One of the locks in Waterloo.
I know that one's not going to be
Lock
open
four?
to the public
CS4.
because
It's not open to the public because it's such a small space.
right.
So,
but it will
it's
be
gonna
live streamed, I believe.
It'll be live streamed. And then on Saturday, November 2nd, we go to the Audubon Center at Montezuma Wildlife Center. So that's a great opportunity. So that's a Saturday. These all start around 4 p.m.
I believe so, and I would encourage you, if you can check out the Montezuma one. I heard a preview of the composition during the ASO's festival over the summer. The piece is called Refuge, and it's really haunting, and just for me sparked a lot of different thinking about what it means to engineer a waterway and in that landscape. So really interesting piece.
Excellent. Well, we are grateful for the Reimagine Canals team, Angela and Chandler and her team, for working with the Albany Symphony Orchestra to make this happen. And we are grateful for our friends at Maestro David Allen Miller and his composers and his musicians for bringing this beautiful music and enriching us with the history of the canal through music.
Can I just ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
Is this 3 years? This is the first year, like a little snack, and then we get
Yeah,
something
kind of we
next
get a snack, then we get a full meal, then we get
Dessert?
like the aperitif or whatever. Like, so next year's the big year, but we do
Okay.
extend into 2026,
Thank
and
you.
that's deliberate because we don't want things to just
Yes,
halt for the
yes.
bicentennial. We want to start to pull people into that next century and get just as excited
Yes.
about that. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next slide, please. This is the footpath of the WMHT documentary where they've been filming and where they will be filming. And again, spring, summer of 2024 is when the programming starts to roll out, and the full package will unveil at the Rural Canals Conference. Anything you want to add on this, Rebecca?
Well, I'll say we're trying to, when people look back on this bicentennial period 100 years from now, we don't want to just tell the same, kind of dominant narrative story. So each segment explores something, kind of unknown pieces about the Erie Canal. So it might cover, art and culture. It might cover the work of maintenance. Our maintenance staff have been very accommodating, letting WMHT kind of see the insides of how canals are maintained and cared for. So I think in my mind, this kind of creates part of our record for this bicentennial period in a way that's different from other documentaries that we've seen before.
Excellent. Okay, next. Here's the rollout schedule. We've already covered that. And next slide, please, Mike. Here's the poster. Talked about that. If you'd like a poster, let me know. We will mail one to you. And next slide, please. We are going to look at the opportunity to have some of the questions still cleared up at our next meeting, which will probably be the week of November 18th. And hopefully by that time have more information on our grand finale celebration. and also more communities involved, lined up to join in the celebration. Cal is going to get you excited when you come to her portion of the
Absolutely.
announcement.
Unbelievable.
Next. Okay, and speaking of Cal, I'm very pleased to introduce as we move on to item number 6, which is the CRC 2050 plan update, Commissioner Cal Wysokowski and Justine Heilner, who is on screen, who are with us now to provide an update. And Paul Glesta too. I'm sorry, Paul. Paul Glesta is here.
He's here with
That's
us.
fine, and we have agency.
Paul is
on
with
screen,
us. Thank you.
Also, our planning consultant.
We have a very active plan and we're moving toward almost a 90% completion mark of our CRC 2050 plan. They said it couldn't be done, but it's being done. It's almost 90% done. And we're very happy. This is our roadmap and our strategic plan for guiding the Canal Recreation Commission and New York State's Canal Recreation Plan along the canal for the next 25 years. So let me introduce Commissioner Wysokowski, Paul, and Justine on screen. Let's go to the screen, Mike, back to the screen so we can see our members and our contributors. Justine, wave there. Okay, very good. Commissioner Wysokowski, you want to start?
Yes, I would like to start. Thank you very much. They said it couldn't be done, but it can be done.
Yeah, I like that quote. That's very good.
We have a really strong team, and whatever doubts and issues I had in my brain way back when we started have gone. And I want to thank the commissioners, Michelle, Natalie, and Steve, for your hard work on this so far. Of course, Paul and Justine, but we've got Rhiannon and Matt and Michelle over there. Yeah, it's just been a wonderful team, and we're going to go over the 60% report today, but the group is moving forward and putting together the 90% plan, as you just suggested. I also just have to thank all the stakeholders and folks who showed up to answer our survey online, at the events where that were staffed by agency and others that were interviewing people and taking down information. We've just touched hundreds and hundreds of people, and so that's very encouraging, that there's a wide breadth of ideas that are in this report. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Paul and Justine and agency to fill us in. What a great process so far. So thank you.
Would someone introduce agencies? So because
Sure.
I forgot to introduce
Paul, you wanna do
agencies.
that?
So
Sure, I see you, Matt, smiling on the screen. I see Rihanna smiling on the screen. I don't know if Kate's with you. And there's a lot of other people working behind you to take us as far. So a big round of applause for just thanks. And I know we've got some hard steps to go, but fantastic. And I think you're going to take us through the slide deck now on the 60%.
Yes, and let us know if we should plan to share or if it's something that you all already have ready to go on your end. You can do either approach.
Puzzled look on IT's face here, so if you guys have it teed up and you want to go ahead and share with me.
Yes, can definitely do.
Thank you.
Okay. Can you all see my screen?
It's launching.
you said it's launching.
Oops.
There you
There
go.
it is.
Yep,
Wonderful.
you're good.
Okay, great. Well, to start, I'll just say hello. My name is Rhiannon Sinclair. It's really wonderful to see all of you again, to have made such wonderful relationships with so many of you, either those of you who came and really participated in the workshops together with us, the core CRC team that has been with us at every step and pivot of the way. Really appreciative of the time and energy that you've put into this, and also the inclusion of us in your very busy agenda. So thank you again for that support. So as Cal shared, we are very much in the depths of developing the 90% draft, which we're planning to share with all of you at the beginning of November. But we wanted to give you a brief update on the 60% draft that we shared previously, and walk through a little bit of how that took shape and what is included. So we'll start with a conversation about process. We'll dig a little bit more into public outreach. As Cal said, a lot of folks came out. And so Matt, my colleague and the wonderful project manager on this project, Matt Kinda, is going to share a little bit more about that. And then he'll be digging into what we called the vision scenarios and our next steps. So before I turn it over to Matt, I just want to give a brief glimpse and shout out to the rest of the team. There's agency is present here today, and that's personified by Matt and myself. But we also have a wonderful team of consultants working with us: Fisher, Moffitt and Nickel, and David Klein, each digging into topics like local engagement and planning, hydrology and water quality, and watershed activation, to ecology and investment in natural resources. And with that, I think I'll turn it over to Matt to talk a little bit more about schedule.
Sure. Thank you, Rhiannon, and thank you again to the CRC. As we mentioned, this is the update on the 60% draft report, so a little bit beyond halfway. As I'm sure you all heard, and as we provided an update previously, to date this year, we've been out in canal communities along the canal, listening and learning from the users of the trails and canals, learning from the staff on site who maintain and operate the canal system, and learning from the folks at the Canal Corporation and the Power Authority who oversee and make decisions about the system. Through May and August in the summer, we primarily went out and conducted a lot of outreach, which I will share a summary of in a moment. And with that, we were collectively envisioning what the system might look like in 25 years and beyond. And what we're doing currently, as Rhiannon mentioned, is translating all of that insight and ideas and opinions into a coherent future strategy for the system to provide the Recreationway Commission, the Canal Corporation, and everyone in this room with clear next steps to continue the great work that you're doing. Next slide, please. So this summer was one of engagement. We conducted many forms of engagement. There were 4 major public workshops, 3 of which were in person along different parts of the system. We held a public workshop just outside of Rochester, which was a wonderful chance for people, mostly in the Western region, to come to attend. We held a workshop in Herkimer, and finally one in Schuylerville, as well in person. We're very grateful for the folks who showed up, gave us their opinions, and share their hopes and aspirations for the system with us. In addition to those in-person workshops, we held a virtual workshop for those who couldn't make it out or had scheduling conflicts. And we were again very appreciative of people who contributed to that and took time out of their day to help us shape this plan and shape the future of the system. In addition to those major milestones, we also showed up at pop-up events and tabled at existing canal site events. We were all over the system, gratefully supported by folks from the Canal Corporation. And so we're really appreciative to have the opportunity to get out and meet folks where they are in the places that they already are on the system, and getting out and about on in the different canal communities. We were lucky enough to have very insightful tour guides and take us through the different parts of the system across its geography, across the different types of infrastructure. We were lucky enough to get to see a lock pump out and understand the maintenance cycle. We spoke with lock tenders and understood their day-to-day needs in keeping the system functioning. And finally, we also looked outwards and assembled a group of experts on different topics, from tourism and economic development to commercial shipping to culture and history, recreational boating, and much more. So just to give a brief overview, we had over 200 attendees, participants, and responses to the online surveys, and all of that has contributed to our thinking in guiding this document. Next slide, please. So what we heard and what we learned was phenomenal, and it's our job, as we've been working with the commissioners, with Paul and Justine and the rest of the team at the Canal Corporation, to translate that into an actionable and specific vision for the future. As it stands in the 60% report, we took a scenario planning approach, and what this meant was to ask ourselves key questions and lay out a few different possibilities and roadmaps ahead, the point of which was to start a conversation about prioritizing things that matter most to the Canal Corporation and to the people who use the system, and bring them back together, which I'll speak about in a moment, into one coherent roadmap. So the key questions that we asked ourselves are what the canal should be and what they should do. That was embodied in a set of guiding principles I'll walk through in a moment. But the principles, of course, have to be made actionable. So we asked ourselves what this looks like. These, in turn, provided different vision scenarios, which I'll explain. And within each of these vision scenarios, of course, different actions, strategies, and recommendations are what actually get there from idea to implementation. And so we've laid out a series of those in the 60% report as well. So next slide, please, and I can speak through in more detail what those look like. So the guiding principles, and again, this is what was shared in the 60% report. As Cal and others have mentioned, this is currently and continually being workshopped and finalized for the 90% and beyond to the final report in December. But we've identified these 6 or so principles that we think speak to the strengths, ideals, and aspirations of the system today and in the future. The goal of convening both local residents and visitors is key to the mission. The ability to connect upstate New York to the wider region and beyond is something that the system is built upon, and we think it will continue to do into the future. The importance of commemorating history and culture in all of its forms is something that has already been talked about today and is already being undertaken by the great work done in the More Voices initiative, and we hope that will continue into the future. The importance of catalyzing local revitalization of canal communities is also something the system, the Canal Corporation and the Recreationway Commission holds near and dear, and is something we'd like to call out in this plan. Of course, we also want to champion quality of life and inclusivity and accessibility for all to get all of the benefits of this wonderful system. And finally, even though it is a man-made system, the canals are very much part of upstate's ecoregion and natural systems. And of course, as part of that, it must to care for those systems. Next slide, please. So what this looks like, thank you. What this looks like in terms of vision, we laid out 4 possible paths ahead, knowing that they were not mutually exclusive necessarily, and that there are bits and pieces from each we think speak to different strengths of the system and different aspirations of the different canal communities, the people that use the system, and the organizations that oversee it. The first vision scenario was envisioning the system as a linear park, as an iconic park system, continuing its incredible and valuable recreational success, and looking ahead in the ways that it can support its growth, the natural resources and green infrastructure it might provide. The second scenario, described as a Blue Main Street, is one that focuses on local economic development, acting as a leading catalyst to enhance the growth and vibrancy of the canal towns along its length. The third harkens to the original purpose of the canal, which was as a working waterway and as a shipping corridor. And this third scenario revisits that and imagines what it would mean for the canal system to reestablish itself in that same vein. And finally, a look at the canal system as a contemporary cultural corridor. Again, an idea that has been spoken about today and is already being enacted in some ways through the work with the Albany Symphony Orchestra. This vision was looking at how we can not just celebrate stories of the past and all of the stories that make up that rich, diverse past, but also look ahead and make meaning of what the system is today and what it will continue to be in the future. Next slide, please. So of course, these are 4 possible paths ahead. And like I said, in many ways, they cross over one another. They're complementary, and we understand that they can and should be brought together. And that's the work that we're currently doing as we head towards this 90% report. So we've been working closely with Cal, Michelle, and other commissioners, and we've been very, very grateful for their time, their insight, as well as the team at the Canal Corporation and others to help us figure out what the right mix and balance is for these different futures, ultimately arriving at a singular vision, which we're very excited to share with you in the following draft report. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you again. We're happy to have a brief discussion if it's appropriate. I know you're all familiar with the 60% report. I believe you've all received it. And of course, you should feel free to reach out to us at agency and our partners at the Canal Corporation with additional questions if you would like to speak about that later. Thank you.
Well done, Matt. Thank you very much. Let's go back to the screen so we can see everybody on the screen, Mike.
It's Rhiannon is sharing. Yeah. Navigating.
Okay,
I'd like to say kudos to you guys. That's excellent.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well, Rhiannon, do you have anything to add to that? To what Matt has gone over?
No, I think Matt captured it quite well, and he's been intrinsically involved in this entire project and process. So grateful to you, Matt, and of course to Justine and to everyone that's been involved in the team, to Paul. So yeah, I think that captures it well. I will say that all of what we've shared with you as a 60% draft report it's still a work in progress, and so that work in progress continues to evolve, and you'll see a lot of that evolution in the 90% draft report as well. So thank you for those of you that shared comments, who asked us to think about things differently. We are absorbing all of that, and we are making those changes as we speak.
So do you think the 90% report might be done by the second week in December?
The 90%. Sorry, the 90% report is planned to be delivered the 1st of November, which will give us ample time to review and make sure that everything is looking pristine before the issuance of the truly final report in December.
Well, we are due to have another CRC meeting before the end of the year, so we'll have the opportunity to get more information toward the 90% or after the 90% mark, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and I think for commissioners, today is a great opportunity to weigh in on what you've just heard and how it's been shaped, how it's the form that it's taking and how we're moving forward. The team has been very open with information and listening and then massaging things. So I really want the commissioners now to think about it and weigh in, and if something's not sitting right with you or you're thinking something's missing, now is absolutely the time to talk about it and have a conversation.
Kudos to the staff for being responsive to our comments. This is Steve Iacetta, who's online. So as you may know, I'm a prior professional planner. I appreciate your expertise and excellent compilation of all the multifacets of this very complex, I'd say longest park in the nation. I know we need to focus on the state. So ongoing, we'll have some additional comments. I won't get into details now. I'm hearing some discussion from our federal and state metropolitan planning partners that we really need to see our Great Canal system as filling the gap where there are significant limits on what can be transported on federal highways and railways. There are overweight limits that can only be transported by water. We're seeing that with case studies, GE Road, Schenectady, and other significant case studies. I will continue to question using out-of-state case studies when we have excellent case studies in state that can help promote our cause to fulfill our vision going forward for the future. So with those just key high points. Also, I'd like to see reference to Class A public water, drinking water source being our waterway, and also agriculture. We're second only to California for agriculture as industry in the state. So the working waterways is a very key component, along with the Main Street and cultural assets that present these challenges and opportunities. So great job. Thank you for being responsive, and we'll polish it up to be a real gem to help fulfill our mission in promoting, preserving, and enhancing the great Erie Canal, the Canalway Park Empire Trail system.
Excellent.
Thank you all.
Thank you. So the only thing I would like to leverage off that, Stephen did a nice job there. Thank you for your work. I like the way you got it broken down into 4 visions. The longest park in New York, working highway. If you think about the working highway, it adds a lot of value and thought process and opens up discussion. I think of hydropower, the large items that the highways can't take, and so it gives a holistic view. The quality of life, 2/3 of those that have left New York State is because of quality of life. This trail system is unique. Waterways, you're adding kayaking, so it goes on and on and on. But I like the way it's presented because you can open up your mind and thinking of this asset and how it can explode into the next century.
Yeah, that's really well said. It kind of like your head kind of goes like that,
just
right? It
kinda
opens
goes,
up a little bit. You're like,
wow.
oh, I can think about it this way,
Yes.
that way, all
Yeah.
the same. That's
Yeah.
great.
So,
Thank you.
so
for
thanks
that
very much. I
feedback.
appreciate it.
That's great.
If I could, I'd just like to say the conversations have been great. You know, wordsmithing is a very skillful, and we've done a lot of wordsmithing, and is that the right word to use to describe things? But I am very encouraged. The only thing we all need to keep in mind is that we need to make sure that the Canal Corporation and NIPA have the ability to execute this. I mean, we talked a lot yesterday about, was it yesterday? Yeah, I think so, about capacity. And so many of these things are great ideas, but really need to focus in on the capacity of our resources. Thank you.
Well, I mean, we're setting this really ambitious vision that stays open to what the values of folks will be in 25 years in the system. So I think the hope is also
I'm not able to hear them. Is it
too
anyone?
that the first Canal Recreationway plan issued in 1995 was so transformative. Prior to that, the canal was really viewed as kind of, an industrial relic in a lot of ways. So it's this group that helped to shift the mindset toward the potential for recreation and had a vision in that first report that really looks a whole lot like the Empire State Trail, doesn't it?
Yes.
And so much has been accomplished that was set out in that first report. So to me, this is, as much as it's an opportunity at the bicentennial to set that next ambitious vision, it also pays homage to this group of people who've been dedicated for decades to this waterway and making sure that it, it continues to grow and evolve. So, thank you to the CRC for starting this process and for really, coming together with Justine and Paul and everyone else to get even more creative and set an even bigger vision. You laid the foundation, so thank you. I just wanted to put that out there. And it's been a huge amount of work too, so that's not lost on me. I appreciate all the time and effort you put in. I think Brandon was gonna say something. Sorry to cut you off.
No, we had a moment where we couldn't hear you all speaking, but you caught up with us and we heard you. So.
Okay.
Natalie Stetson, do you have anything to add on that?
I see Paul has his hand up. Paul Byer.
Okay.
But Natalie also.
Go ahead.
Paul Byer.
I don't have anything to add. I've enjoyed the conversations. I wasn't able to make yesterday's meeting, but I'm glad to hear that it went well, and I've been impressed and with the process and enjoyed being part of it.
Okay.
Paul, take it away.
Paul Byer from the Department of State.
Yeah.
I didn't see your hand raised there, sorry.
As you can imagine, we were real jazzed up about the Blue Main Street concept. Obviously, given the downtown revitalization, energy, New York Forward, waterfront revitalization plan. It's just so important to, as somebody just mentioned, look beyond the canal as a relic or just even a marvel, but to look at the communities that it spawned and is re-energizing through some of the work we've done. And I just want to finish by saying that so many of the projects we fund through those programs are directly related to the canal. They're either reconnecting communities back to the canals, or we're rehabbing and redeveloping buildings that have a canal connection, like the Chandlery, former Irish pub, Cahill building in Oneonta. It's just embedded in their culture, and it's nice to see that you're recognizing that in this very clever way, the Blue Main Street.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Trustee Gonzalez, would you like to add anything to this discussion? We can't hear you.
Yes, I have one question that kind of ties back to the property issues. Is there a strategy within this plan to think about all of those potential properties that could come to the board? And how we would address those based on the plan, right? That's one of my thoughts as I'm listening to you. And then I think it's really, I don't know. I really like what I see. I like the idea of where you're going, and the point of making sure that the NIPA trustees are aware, right? And I know that there's reports back to the NIPA trustees NIPA Canals trustees on a regular basis, but to begin to introduce some of these concepts earlier rather than later, if I could just say that, I think that would be important. And because we're also, NIPA Canals is doing a refresh of its strategic planning. So at some point they should align somewhere, right? Even if it's just a dotted line.
Cal, do you want to speak to the property issue?
So thank you for raising that. We're on the same page. We have talked about that several times, and the team has listened. If there's something in this plan that comes out that helps the CRC and guides us in the decision-making process, the abandonment of land, we're forever grateful. And I think those that come after us will also be forever grateful that it gives us some guide rails to make decisions. And so, yes, we've talked about that, and I think you're going to see more of that in this next version of the plan without giving away too much.
Stay tuned.
So yeah, stay tuned.
You're thinking of a policy statement?
It's not a policy statement, but there are strategies and examples that are being provided that will help us make decisions. With regard specifically to
Set a framework.
Yes.
I understand. Okay. Framework, I like that.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
To help us, yeah.
Yes,
To
okay.
help us.
Thank you, Pete, for that input. That's very helpful.
Yeah, Maybe I'll follow up with you too to just strategize on how best to, advance that. Given that, the board meetings tend to be so full of, meaty content, maybe it's a smaller engagement that we could co-lead. So I'll follow up with you on that.
Excellent.
And there is an opportunity. We are encouraging our board secretary to plan a trustee meeting either pre or post conference in Buffalo, right? So that gives us all an opportunity to be there and experience that. So I don't know, it's just we're trying to build momentum within the board as well, to just have a broader understanding of the values and the issues that come with the canals, right? Because it's both. It's got value, but it's got issues as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Justine, did you want to add anything? You've been a little muted.
No, I'm just vigorously nodding my head along with what Trustee Gonzalez is saying. I think it's so important to keep educating and normalizing the idea of the canal as an asset in ways that NIPA folks might not always think of it as, and also learn about how to be public facing, which is also something that NIPA doesn't always have to do in the same way. So I think that's a great comment. Thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to your future report, and I think it would be a good idea also to have a report delivered to the bicentennial commission. So we'll talk to our team about that and see when that might make sense going forward. But thank you, Cal, and all of our commissioners who have worked so hard on putting this plan together. As you know, this was an effort that was had some fits and starts, but it's really come together under your leadership. So thank you so much for making this happen, and we will make sure that we have an opportunity to bring this before the trustees also, when that makes sense too. So without any further comments or questions, we're going to move on to the next item, and we have some exciting news from Rebecca Hughes on the naming of a new Canal tugboat, the first of 4 that are going to be coming into our fleet.
I think Mike's got it.
There we are.
So I think we shared at a prior meeting that canal operations under Dave's leadership has been successful in securing a path to building 4 new tugboats to serve the canal system. This is critical as our fleet has been aging out. A lot of the vessels were built as far back as the 1920s and 30s. So, harder and harder to keep those active on our waterways. And the first of 4 vessels will be delivered this May. Next slide, please. Here's a rendering of that tugboat. It's being built by Blount Builders in Rhode Island. The vessel name was proposed by the Vessel Naming Committee. That's an official policy. Brian, myself, Dave, Bob Radliff, and B. Gonzalez all served on the naming committee for this vessel. And it was approved as the Thomas X. Grasso by the NYPA and Canal's Board of Trustees just on October 8th. Next slide, please. Yay for Tom. So, I think it's really symbolic that this vessel is coming into Waterford at the start of our true, bicentennial season in 2025. For anyone who did not know Tom, which I think is probably a vast minority of this group, but he studied geology and paleontology at UB and Cornell, and went on to found the geosciences department at Monroe Community College. So really, academically and in the sciences, a lot of achievements. And he also had this long-standing dedication to canals and canal history, serving as the Canal Society's president for more than 40 years. He served as the president for Inland Waterways International for 8 years. And really his legacy has been the restoration of Port Byron, the Erie Canal Heritage Park, and everything that symbolizes. And I think for all of us who knew him, more important than anything else, he was kind, thoughtful, generous, welcoming. He was a unifier. He was a visionary, and I'm just so thrilled that that we're able to make this dedication. And Brian's been in touch with his wife Corolla, and she's very excited as well, and will be part of a dedication ceremony when the vessel comes into the system. So thank you, B, for your support on this one, and for everyone else who's been involved. And we're happy to move forward.
This is the first of 4 tugs coming forward, and we're going to have some other opportunities to name the next 3. So we'll be fluid with that, but we're hoping that this comes in time for the beginning of our 2025 season, and more information on that. I recognize the first 2 photos in there, but the one on the bottom, the black and white photo, that must have been when Tom was a young undergrad playing bongos at a coffee house, maybe, right? Yeah.
A Cornell student, doesn't he?
A wonderful man and a wonderful legacy, and a great way to inspire 2025 with his name on this first of 4 tugboats.
Nice. Good question. Are any of the tugs electric or other diesel tugs?
They're all diesel tugs. We are experimenting. We're running a pilot with Photon Marine this year, bringing a electric workboat into the Utica section. That will operate for the full season. We did a week-long pilot last year, and it's an electric version of the workboats we use their diesel counterparts. So we'll be able to really test electric boats. And I don't know if the technology is there for, larger vessels for tugboats, but as that emerges, it's definitely a vision for the future.
Is it an icebreaker I saw in the hull?
It does have ice breaking capabilities. I think Dave could speak more to any tonnage questions or anything related to its engine that you might have, but
65 foot long and 700 horsepower.
700 horse, good, thank you. So about the same size as the Margo that goes up and down to break the ice?
I think it might be smaller. It won't have the same ice breaking capabilities as the Margo, but
yeah, it has that big nose. All right, wonderful. More of that to come as we get closer to the beginning of next season. Thank you, Rebecca, for that.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for shepherding this process. Yes. And as the professor would say, good show. Good show.
I'd even say very noteworthy.
Well, he could say that too.
And maybe we'll break a bottle of Stella or Artois
And Stella was his beverage of choice, so. All right, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We can't wait to welcome Linda Thomas, the TXG. All right, we're gonna go back to Paul Glesta and to Justine Heilner now and receive an update on Reimagine the Canal. So Paul, Justine, who's gonna start this presentation? Justine, Justine, would you like to be on screen or you just want to go directly to the PowerPoint?
We should just go directly to the PowerPoint. We've got four great.
I can hear you, so take it away.
It's a one-slide PowerPoint, so why not?
Less is more, that's good.
That's it. So Paul and I are going to kind of tag team talking about these projects because a couple of them are Paul's and one of them is mine and one is another teammate's. So I'll start off with the wetlands enhancement. This project in the Montezuma Wildlife Management Area was just completed this fall. There's some final planting going on now, but basically what this project did, which we teamed with DEC to work on, it's on DEC land, but this whole wetland complex, if you're not familiar with it, I assume most of you are, in the middle of our state is thousands of acres of wetland that are really important for the Atlantic flyway for migrating birds, one of the most important in North America. And because we built a canal there and altered the way water flows through it, it has been very degraded in terms of habitat and eco-function. And so over many decades, DEC has been doing projects here and there to change the way water moves. And this project was an opportunity for us to also help with that. It transformed about 180 acres of land. What you see in that picture are these little mounds. We carved away sediment and invasive Phragmites and moved the water so that there are variation in water level rather than just a uniform surface, which isn't as good. It becomes very stagnant. And so these mounds allow muskrats to come in. They're really attractive to them as habitats. And then the muskrats do the work of maintaining the water flow with their building activities. So after we removed the invasive plants, we planted plants that are native and provide food and shelter for native birds and other critters. And yeah, it just finished up after many years of work. So that's a really exciting milestone for that project. Since I'm still talking, I will go to the opposite corner of the PowerPoint slide and show the Guy Park Manor project, which has also had quite a bit of progress over the last couple of years. Phase 1 is rehabilitating the manor, which is what you see a picture of here. As you can see, the manor house, which was damaged severely in a couple of storms in 2011, Hurricane Ida and Lee, has been lifted up to get it out of that dangerous floodplain. And so the preparation and lifting of the house took years of planning, and most of that was completed this spring and summer. Phase 2 is the resiliency landscape, which is a Reimagine project. And that is in design. The completed design will be submitted later this fall and will subsequently go out to bid. So what that landscape does is it also acts as a way to manage that stormwater. It will not just be a flat turf surface, which doesn't do much when you have active moving water. It will have more topography and it will have different plantings that can absorb the water and also, again, provide a more biodiverse habitat around the house. So that's the update on that. If you have any questions about either of these projects, go for it. Otherwise, I'll hand it over to Paul.
Thank you, Justine. Okay, I'm going to jump up to the slide just above there. That's a happy group. We'll leave that to the end here on Brockport. I'm going to give you a bit of a construction update because we are very much in construction right now. We're approximately near the 60% completion mark. The support structure's all in. You can see the columns in behind that shot. We also have all the concrete abutments done. 5 of the bridges, steel panels, if you will, support panels are in place. There's 13 all told. We'll probably have another 3 coming towards the end of the month. Hopefully, the team is very much engaged with the steel fabricator right now, both the fabrication and obviously schedule. Underground wiring, lighting, security is in place. And about 40% of the landscape has been done, mostly on the south side, the SUNY side. And we're looking to have the bridge completed in the first quarter of 2025, weather permitting, and looking towards having the official ceremony in May when the canal opens up navigation season. So the photo up top is something that happened back on August 14th. We just decided to get a lot of good people together who are involved with the project. We have the mayor of Brockport, we have the president of SUNY there, we had the CEO of the Ralph Wilson Jr. Foundation, and of course we had our project management team, others from the town, and Canal's here. So that was a good moment. Steel signing, so productive optimism en route. Next slide.
We've seen the rendering of that bridge, so you know what it looks like and what it will look like, but we're really very excited about 2025. Go ahead, Paul.
Kind of grotty, kind of muddy in that picture, but moving ahead, we've got a lot to do, but it is fun. And it is embraced very fully by both the foundation, obviously, and the village of Brockport and SUNY. So that makes it a unique conglomeration of goodwill. Swinging down to the lower left-hand corner, iconic lighting project. Well, we're done. There's 5 iconic lighting sites, projects that have been completed over the last 4 years. We have Little Falls, we have the Verona and Brewerton lighthouses, Fairport Main Street Bridge, and last but not least, the Tonawanda Railway Bridge. That's a bascule bridge, big concrete structure at the end of it for lifting it up and down across the canal. That was lit up a couple months ago, so bravo to our team who's worked on it patiently for 4 years, also to the lighting designers, and surprisingly enough, we did get 2 awards for the project. The first one was the International LIT Design Award, and that was in the category of community building lighting. That's where we wanted to be. And the second one is the Illuminating Engineering Society Award for technical lighting execution. So again, bravo to the team. We're done, and I think the communities are enjoying the projects that we've delivered.
Thank you, Paul. You're welcome. Questions or comments about our Reimagine Canals projects and their status? Thank you, Justine. Okay, very good. If there's no more questions or comments, anyone on screen? Natalie, Michelle, B, anybody have questions or comments on these projects for our Reimagine Canals team? All right, seeing none, we're going to go back to Commissioner Wysokowski, who's going to give us an update on the 2025 World Canals Conference and our plans coming together. Recently had a meeting of the steering committee, and things are really heating up. So Cal, take it away.
All right, so this is shaping up to be quite an event. If you haven't put the dates on your calendar, please do. It's September 21st through the 25th, 2025 in Buffalo, New York. It is the World Canals Conference, which is part of IWI, Inland Waterways International. We were awarded this conference. We submitted a bid and were awarded this conference. And I was going to show you the website because that's the best place to go to get all the information about the conference. So it's WCC2025buffalo.com, and the site is up. It's running, and it's has all the information that you could possibly want. I wanted to announce that we have 2 honorary co-chairs, Anne McCaffrey, who's the president and CEO of People Inc. She's the former mayor of Lockport, New York, and a canal enthusiast. The other one is Keith Bellinger. He's a senior vice president at M&T Bank. And they have jumped in and have been very supportive as honorary chairs, co-chairs for the conference. On the website, you can see the schedule, which is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of that week in September. There's also an outline of the sessions and field trips that will be taking place. I can't remember all the field sessions. One is to Fairport and Pittsford. The other is to and Brockport, and then the other is to Lockport. Yeah. And then another one is over into Canada. And so those will be taking place on Tuesday and Wednesday, and you can sign up for those sessions as well. I wanted to make a note that there are pre and post tours available. The pre-tour is shaping up to be something that's very interesting for our international visitors, for the folks that may be flying into New York City. We're putting together the pre-conference tour, which will take them to and start in Ellis Island, and then visit national parks all the way up to Buffalo along the way. And so that itinerary is being put together right now, and there we go. There's the website, which is very interesting, particularly for folks who may not be familiar with all the national park sites in New York. So if you go, Mike, to the conference up in that upper ribbon, this is the website, and hit the conference. There you go. Okay, and then if you scroll down, registration should be open. The goal is to open it on October 28th, so that's just around the corner. Again, scroll down. This is an international gathering, and you can stop right there. Here, again, it talks about networking and some of the presentations. There's the pre and post conference tours. Again, featuring the Seneca Chief and its voyage from Buffalo to New York City. There's lots of information there. And then the Erie Canal's bicentennial celebration. And under each one of those titles, there's learn more, and you click on that, and there's more information than you can possibly imagine. It's actually really well done. You can continue to scroll down. So there's the schedule. That's what I was referring to. It starts on Sunday, which is usually a community day. There's a reception for international delegates. And you can see on Monday, there are plenary and paper sessions that will be taking place. I believe the screening of the new Erie Canal documentary is what you were referring to before, WMHT. Did I get that right? So that will be shown on Monday. Again, a reception and dinner. A lot of time to rub elbows with other people who are all things canal. Tuesday, September 23rd, those are the field sessions that I was referring to, going in various directions to explore and to network. Okay, you can scroll down again, Mike, that would be great. Again, Wednesday, we have some more sessions and a dinner at Canal Side, which is in Buffalo. For folks that don't know, it's Canal Side is just a great place to visit. It's right at the mouth of the Erie Canal in Buffalo. A lot of fun things going on there. And then Thursday, the conference will conclude after some morning plenary sessions with a handoff ceremony to the 2026 hosts and a closing ceremony. I believe that's in China. Am I not correct?
China.
I believe so. I'm not sure what city or province in China it will be held in 2026. But that's usually a fun ceremony too. Okay, can scroll down some more. There's two other things that I'd like to mention. If you can keep going, yeah, thank you. There we go. If you would hit on call for presenters. So right now, a call for presenters has been issued. There it is. So the program committee, I think, is the one that's going to review the papers. Now is the time to pull together a team, or if you want to do a solo lecture or a session, Now's the time to be thinking about that and to submit it. You can do that all online. The themes are also listed in this section. I can't recall, there's 4 themes, but if we hit that, I think it's gonna take us away from this site. But that's really important. So for anyone who's interested in presenting or participating with presentation, now's the time to be thinking about that and to submit it online. Okay, Mike, you can scroll down some more. Just one more. Well, there's the themes. Great. Scroll down. Healthy waterways. Oh, you can go back. Go back up, and I'll just list those. Yeah. So healthy waterways, healthy communities, trends in waterway tourism and recreation, waterway management, canals and historic preservation, inclusion and accessibility. So those are the themes wrapped around this conference. And again, remember, it's just not New York State, it's just not the United States, it's international. So we get to hear stories from all over the globe. Okay, if you scroll down. The last thing is a call to action for folks, and that's to sign up. And I think if you keep going down, Mike, you'll be okay. Oh, that's the proposal. I guess we're gonna have to go back and
It's on the previous page and on the home page.
Yeah. Thank you. There it is. The sign up for updates.
I think that's the most important thing for right now is for everybody to sign up for updates. Doesn't mean you have to register to attend, although we hope you will, but let's get the flow of information coming in at a regular clip to your.
So you're not going to be put on this mailing list. It's not conglomerate of mailing lists that you may be on. You're going to have to go and sign up on this website. You're going to get emails and updates and information about the conference as they occur. So I encourage anyone in this room and anyone listening, sign up. Go to the website and sign up because you'll be getting updates, and they're really important and they're a lot of fun. So that's my call to action. It's coming together. It's 10 months from now, which is unbelievable. It's upon us, and it's going to be it's going to be not only a great time and a lot of fun, but you're going to come away and learn something. And learn at least one thing, probably 10, and you'll make a bunch of friends too, which is great. So this is a World Canal Conference. That's the website. Anything else really important?
We're going to have more information on this. There have been videos. There have been updates. We hope the governor will be with us as we launch the Seneca Chief on September 24th on its journey down to New York. We're going to have international speakers, more program developments coming along, but a great place. This is the 4th time that the World Canals Conference, to my knowledge, has come back to New York State, and we're very happy and excited that it's going to be part of our bicentennial celebration. So, Cal, thank you for that.
I have one more thing that we're going to try this. Mike and I are going to give this a go because if you haven't seen the promotional video, it's very cool. It can only come out, the sound can only come out from his computer, I think. But it's really cool. Now let's give it a go.
A new day is rising for canals around the world. The spirit of innovation that transformed our nations is revitalizing our waterways for tomorrow. Transforming, re-envisioning, reinventing, honoring our legacy, and taking everyone along for the ride. Just as we share challenges, so too must we share solutions. We invite you to the cutting edge, a global gathering of inland waterways innovators, bringing their passion, their inspiration, their best ideas, as we strive to sustain our multidimensional canals for our communities, for our guests, for our environments, for generations to come. The Erie Canal is your backdrop, and the host city of Buffalo, New York, USA, a destination packed with beauty, history, and wonder. Join us in commemorating an extraordinary 200 years by preparing for the next 200. World Canals Conference 2025, where the future flows.
Thanks to the partners, it's the New York State Canal Corporation, the Erie Canal National Heritage Corridor, the Erie Canal Harbor Development Corporation in Buffalo, and Buffalo Niagara. Visit Buffalo Niagara, and Patrick Taylor and his crew.
Right.
What a team, what a great event it's going to be. So here you go.
Our co-chairs are great. Ann McCaffrey is the former mayor of Lockport and now the new CEO of People Inc. And Keith Belanger of M&T Bank, also an active canaler who's traveled all over the canal, grew up along the Champlain Canal. So we are excited to have them leading the efforts to rally fund and funding for the World Canals Conference. That video was played to our trustees at the September board meeting. They loved it. And the chairman, who is from Buffalo, wants to bring our trustees meeting for September next year in sync with the World
That's
Canals
fantastic,
Conference.
B. You got to make that happen.
So
It's awesome.
B would be there, we know that, but all of the trustees will also be there, so that's going to be a great opportunity. Thank you. And I have some cards that I brought for everyone to sign up, and I forgot to bring them into the back. I kept them on because of Dave, and it is without any more questions for Cal, we're going to go on to an operations update and to give us a summary of the 2024 navigation season, which just completed for the most part yesterday, except for some additional tours in the western end of the state through the end of the month. Again, and to look ahead at what the winter work is ahead and all of the fun pump outs that we have planned. And our winter work is our regional manager and senior vice president for Canal State. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you, Brian. Good afternoon, everyone. That video, it's the second time I saw that video, and it's very motivational, obviously, but it's like in the day-to-day work that we all do, it's so easy at Canals to get in your lane and forget about the potential, how enormous this thing is, and what kind of positive impact it can have. So it definitely motivates me.
Cool.
Yes.
I like that.
Good. So, okay, so this is just a brief operational update. Going to look back on some highlights of the navigation season. Won't be able to capture it all, but just some highlights. And then a sneak peek under the hood about winter work and just looking ahead. Next slide, please. So system usage, I think everybody here is aware that we capture the number of lockages across the system. So based on the lockages that we've seen this year and the observations that we make daily, particularly relative to the trail, usage seemed to be somewhat normal, not really significantly deviated from previous years. Observing lots of high use of the trail, particularly in urban areas on weekends and evening hours. So usage about the same, maybe a hair down. We did have Hurricane Debbie in August, and central New York areas were closed for a period of time, so that had a little effect. The new hours this year, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. seem to be working out well. Some locks are obviously open later than that, but the general hours seem to be working out well. Some positive feedback, particularly from our lock staff. So we would plan to continue that next year. The number of unexpected closures, you're all familiar, I'm sure, with our Notice to Mariners system. So things happen in this little aged system, and there's a need to perhaps close a lock for a day or 3 days, to fix an unexpected problem. So the number of unexpected closures was similar to past years, but the duration seems to be on a downward trend. Last year, we started a fall inspection program, lots of emphasis on the maintenance work that occurs during the winter months and identifying problems ahead of time and being proactive on this. So we, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I think that the fall inspection program, we're starting to see the effects of that. And less incidents that are taking 3 or 4 days to resolve, and more that are taking less than a day. On the commercial shipping front, we are seeing an increase in commercial shipping, over 50% in cargo carrying vessels, but still as a whole, commercial shipping represents 1% or so of all blockages. But nevertheless, an increase in commercial shipping. Hurricane Debbie came at us in August. It turned out to be a non-event. However, behind the scenes, there was a lot going on, and particularly we pulled all those movable dams. And so the reason I include this here is because it really demonstrates the commitment from an overall perspective of public safety. And it's a nod to the efficiency of the operations team to get these things out of the water and back in the water in a matter of days. And that posture will absolutely continue. There's just such we're very clear-eyed relative to the impacts that, too much water can have on communities. So the storm came, it ended up, I think, settling somewhere maybe in the Ohio Valley. It missed us basically, but we had those things out in a readiness posture. So that's why I mentioned that. Staffing remains relatively consistent. We've got about 470 or so permanent employees, plus our seasonal workforce. The summer seasonal workforce is larger than the winter. The summer, I think this year was around 150 to 60. And we're transitioning from the winter workforce to the summer workforce to the winter seasonal workforce as we speak here today. So staffing, relatively consistent. There's always that 8 to 10% vacancy rate in terms of positions, retirements, and new hires, and that whole constant revolving door. So staffing consistent. Lots of seasonal employees this summer in particular, not sure why, but really showing promise to become permanent canal workers in the future. A really good bunch of seasonal workers. So we're very happy to see that. We've struggled over the past few years with filling seasonal positions, and lots of work going on under the hood relative to our training program. I think I may have mentioned to this group the concept of broadening duties for canal workers. So we're going to ask people to do more than they ever have. We have a responsibility to train them. So the training program is expanding. We've got some administrators coming on board here shortly to manage that. So employee engagement. This is an internal effort. It's a multiple pronged approach here, but the essence of it is to have everyone in the organization swimming in the same direction. Understand the importance of maintaining and improving the infrastructure, securing resources and additional funding, and also promoting the enjoyment and use of the system. So those 3 areas, lots of internal communications relative to that, everybody understanding where we're headed. Unfortunately, this summer in our Utica section, we incurred a rash of thefts. Somewhat atypical. I've not really seen this degree of this type of activity, but it happened between June and August, and there were over a dozen thefts. And long story short, we reacted with cameras, and the arrest was made. It has stopped at this point, but it really, I won't say it opened our eyes, because our eyes were open, but it really drives home the exposure at canals, because we've got over 400 buildings, and a lot of our areas are rural, and they're not fenced, and there's no security guards. So, there is now under the hood a more programmatic and systematic look at our risks in this regard, and we'll see what that reveals. But I think there's going to be some areas that haven't been hit like this that we're going to elect to be more proactive and go after in terms of keeping our most important things secure. But yeah, so that was a bit of a challenge. We got through it, and then mostly things like generators, lawnmowers, tools, brass from certain vessels. So just unfortunate, but we reacted to it, and we're now kind of, not only gonna make sure Utica is better, but we will look statewide to make some improvements, so. And on the emergent work front, the thing I'll say there was definitely less emergent work this summer during navigation season. Or less emergency work, but more emergent work. And the difference between the two would be an emergency would be something just broke. This lock is out of operation for a significant period of time, for example, or an embankment started leaking significantly and there's concerns of an embankment failure. That would be an emergency where it's all hands on deck and we're doing what we have to do. Emergent work would be perhaps we're doing an inspection and we identify something that has to be addressed more quickly than a typical capital project would allow, because that's a whole process. It might take a year or more to deliver it. So we're seeing more emergent work, less emergency. I would say that's trending in a better direction. Emergency is not good. So that's kind of looking back. It was a good season, and by all accounts, I think.
Dave, did you give any updates on navigation numbers, if they're up or down?
Yeah, they're pretty consistent. Yep. Maybe down a hair, but that could be attributed to Hurricane Debbie.
And I think we're hovering pretty much right at pre-pandemic levels now. So a lot of the losses that we felt during the pandemic era, we've recovered, and we see people kind of returning to more normal levels of use on the waterway. And that increased sustained high level of use on the trails. At the last trail count was around 3.3 million users on the trail. And I think last year we had just over maybe 60,000 and change lockings on the waterway.
I mean, the metric of lockages is something, I'll put it that way. But, clearly a lot of people use the system in between locks, and they use it often in between locks. And that usage is not really captured. And the thousands or more people who use this trail every day, that's really not captured. Right? Okay, so lockages is something, but the hundreds of people that we have out there who have worked the system for years, what they say matters, because to me anyways, because they have observed this over a long period of time, and that's something that sense. So, okay, next slide, Mike. Okay, so looking ahead to the winter, we've got, every winter season, we have a couple work streams. The pump out projects are one of our biggest work streams. And this year is no different. We have 10 locations identified, 10 distinct projects focused on locks across the system. 5 of them happen to be continuing from last year. 3 are 2-year projects, and the remaining 2 are only one end of the lock. So there's a mixed bag there, and we're finding generally on these pump out projects that, you may have heard this in the past, that, we do a pump out once every 10 years or so. Well, when the winter comes and we can dewater the lock like the picture shows in, and we can examine it, and do the necessary work. The amount of necessary work is really pushing one season. And we are finding more and more that it takes 2 seasons to do the minimal work on these locks rather than one, which pushes everything else out a year. But that's what we're finding in general. That's not across the board, but a lot of locks are taking 2 years to get through them. So, I think we've gone through this before. We dewater the lock, and we pretty much look at everything, and the doors and the valves, the miter gates and the valves and the concrete. Those are kind of big focus areas of the pump out.
So is it because you have to fabricate those parts? Is that what takes so long, or is it just the amount of work to do?
Yeah, if we had to put a new door on, we would have it would be fabricated before we started the pump out. It would be there on site.
Just you're finding more problems all the time.
Yeah.
As the ages.
Yeah, like for example, the miter gates, a lot of the bracing and cross members might need to be replaced, or might need to be beefed up, and that requires welding or drilling and bolting. And then when you get out there, you find that there's more of that work than you anticipated, or you know, you knew you had some bad concrete for this 40-foot stretch, but you thought that 8 inches deep removal would work, but it ended up being 2 feet. And so now the crew of 4 is tied up for 4 weeks instead of 2 weeks or something like that. This is kind of how it goes. So we are able to, it's not like we go in there blind. We do assessments on these locks as best we can, even with underwater technology, to understand as best we can the needs, but we always find things about that. Okay, so the pump outs are continuing. You know, and in addition to the pump outs, you know, every lock has staff during the winter months, and there's maintenance work going on. You know, besides the staff who are dedicated to this work, all the other locks, for example, the staff is at the other locks doing lighter work, we'll say, at the lock house and various buildings and components. So really all locks are being worked on generally throughout the winter months. And then of course we've got our construction team out there with contractors doing capital work on various locations. So there's a lot going on in the winter, but the pump outs are definitely, you know, right in the heart of it. The next item, looking ahead a little, is this next one is a big one. This one aligns with the future and the needs, overall needs of the system. So this capital piece is very important, looking ahead beyond a year or two, or more like, you know, decades ahead. And there's a few things going out there. On the funding element of it, you know, we are seeking additional funding to repair the canal system. And at this point, we've got kind of 2 work streams going. We've got an internal canals funding working group, and that group is basically aimed at identifying grant opportunities and securing grants for us. And so far, so they're a functioning team. They look at the landscape across the nation and what the possibilities are. They apply for grants. They've got, I think, they brought in 13 million so far. I think 10 million is pending, and I think we've submitted 5 more applications so far this year. That's kind of an internal group focusing on grants. Now, the other piece is in the interface with Division of Budget, the state of New York, and asking the state for more money. We recently had a meeting on October 1st in Amsterdam. Kudos to Rebecca for setting the table on this with Division of Budget staff. It was executive leadership with Division of Budget. It was Rebecca, it was myself, it was the operations team, it was Brian. So we had our whole team there, and it was a conversation, in essence, aimed at promoting the understanding of not only the system and all that's really cool and neat with it, but the needs. Okay, so it takes a while to, you know, to get for people to understand. This is, I can speak from personal experience. When I started working here, there's a lot to take in. You know, it's just because somebody says there's lots of needs. What does that mean? Okay, so this isn't the first conversation we had with them. So that entire effort with Division of Budget is continuing to collaborate and have good conversations. We're fortunate enough last year to get 50 million from the state, which has been very helpful. Okay, but 50 million, you know, these days it's something. It's a few projects for sure. It's not going to fix the system. So outside funding, a lot going on there. Internally, we have an effort going on with our project management team, where if we get them, you know, if you get the money, to spend the money is a whole process in itself. So it goes into the ability or the capacity to generate projects and put that work on the street, which requires a whole team of engineers and others. So we are basically under the hood creating a framework of programs. So for example, a lock program or a guard gate program. And we are getting leaders and consultants aligned with each of the programs. So it's that when the money comes in, the program can either be inflated to deliver more money or reduced, you know, if there's not as much money. So it's an internal, it's a readiness effort in case we get the money, which we're hoping.
So it's like having a shovel-ready site, right? If you get a business to come, you want it to be ready to go. So you have a team inside that's ready to go.
Yeah, we get the money, that we are able to spend it, as opposed to getting the money and saying, wait a minute, all our staff's busy kind of thing. So that's kind of what's going on there. So very, very important relative to this rehabilitation or revitalization of the system. And then lastly is just a few comments on some innovation that's going on. The first item deals with our inspection program. They're actually out at Madison Dam, Madison Reservoir, otherwise known as Lake Marine in Madison County. It's a legacy asset, but nevertheless, it's a big public safety risk. There's Colgate University there, there's the town of Hamilton, and we're watching this reservoir very closely. It's just an example. There's many more reservoirs and many more water impounding structures. But what we have out there is we're kind of entering into this arena of autonomous drone flights. And so what in essence it is that we are proof of concept work testing that's happening right now, but basically we have a drone and actually a robotic dog out there as well. It's not a real dog, it's a robot. And so these things can be programmed to do a thorough inspection of the dam with no personnel there from afar. So it's autonomous. And the information, it consists of videos, it consists of pictures, it consists of thermographic images, which detect which would be able to detect water coming through an earthen embankment, earthen dam. And all this data is transmitted back to the engineering team through the cloud. And this process can happen twice a day, 10 times a day, once every 4 days. Okay, so we are going through this. It's new. It's very futuristic. It's hard to digest sometimes, but this is what's going on. And I think in general, utilizing technology like this is really the bridge between today and the point in time when the system is rehabilitated, because we have to have a very high awareness of what's going on at these sites, a lot of which are remote. So that's going on. You'll hear more of that, and I would not be surprised if that becomes more and more normalized for certain assets.
So this is an experimental beta phase now, or is it?
Well, yeah, I guess that's fair, but with the confidence that this is going to work, we've already done enough testing to know this is going to be awesome. But we still have a little more to go to get it
So
ready.
it's a small pilot scale that needs to be ramped up 10 or 20 or 50 times.
Yeah, like we have probably 10, Canal has about 10 drones or so. NIPA has more, and NIPA's got the robotic dog. And right now it's a big metal box, probably 10 or 8 by 10 by 8. And inside the box is the drone and the dog. And when it's operated remotely, the doors open remotely, the drone flies out.
Wow.
Very
That's so cool. I know, right?
The way the dog works is once the drone detects a leak from, say, thermographic image, then the dog can be deployed to go right to the leak and get the camera within 6 inches of the leak, and then you can really see.
Hey, were we using these out in the other sections of the canal, the elevated embankment sections, to detect the leaks so that you could see through the foliage?
The drones we've been using for years, but the way we use the drones is the team pretty much goes out to the site with the drones, and the operators fly the mission, so they control the drone while they're on site as well. Now the autonomous is that once it's set up, it basically can be programmed to do the work. So the engineers keep getting a call every day, or a call of information, if you will, and it just gets done. Okay, so innovation there, and then lastly, the water management system at Canals. A water management system is already in place at Canals, but we're constantly improving it, and we have an effort underway to basically make what's going on with water at Canals more transparent, not only for internal usage, but also to the public. So it'll be a new portal it'll be one-stop shopping for weather information, for water levels, for where all the various water control features of the system stand. Is it out of service? How much flow is being let through each and every gate? So, lake levels, pool levels, inflow, outflow, just all types of information. The public and the internal interface will probably be slightly different for good reason. But that's being worked on as well. We expect to be in the review test phase of that in the first quarter next year, and then for the rest of the year next year, rolling it out in phases. So I think, this will be on our website at some point. So that's it. That's the update.
It's a great report, thank you.
Say if you come out to visit us for pump outs this year, we are requiring safety footwear, so that is a little bit of a shift. We'll do some pump out tours at select locations. Shane's gonna lead on that with the public engagement team, but we're all dedicated to the canal. Consider going on Amazon and getting those safety toe boots, so you're ready to go with us. They're hazardous work sites.
We generally wait until March, right, Shane?
Usually end of February, March, when the weather starts to break a little bit. This conversation though has reminded me that our good colleague Nick Hansen recorded an 8-minute tutorial about our winter maintenance pump outs at the Lock C8 in Fort Edward last year, which I can share that link because it's a really great behind the scenes of, and Nick walks through every aspect of what our staff is doing. We produced that last winter just for folks who couldn't join us during the actual tour. So I'll make sure to follow up to this meeting. We pass that link around.
Thank you, Shane.
We go back up on the screen, Mike. See our remote team members. Okay. Any other follow-up questions or comments for Dave Mellon with the operations update? Natalie, Michelle, B.
I just would say thank you. I always really enjoy the operations update part of these meetings, and so I appreciate that, Dave. Thank you.
Very good.
Quick question.
Yes, Steve.
I didn't mean to jump ahead of anyone. Dave, is there anyone tracking cargo tonnage? You say it's 1%, but not all lockages are equal. Water freight is only 1% of all lockages. Is anyone tracking displacement or cargo tonnages? Any way to track the value, the higher value of that important 1% of water cargo freight? And we see these new barges coming from Erie and whole breweries going up Canal to
Tonnage associated with the commercial vessels.
with the freight. Is anyone tracking freight weight, either displacement tonnages or cargo freight or value? Is there any other data tracking just to show that while 1% sounds minuscule, it's very important to the state economy that could not be transported any other way, is what I'm saying. That's all.
Yeah. I think the interface that happened, in other words, how we get the fact that X number of commercial vessels went through a lock, that interface with our lock staff captures the tonnage. So it's not weight. I could look deeper. It's not weight.
It does have the tonnage, so the weight, the tonnage report, and then the cargo value.
Value.
So
right.
I think last year, like 2023, there was like 5,000 tons, but that value was like $36 million in cargo that was transported based on what that cargo was. And I think that in 2023, that one particular shipment was for the United States Navy. It was a military contract of a piece of equipment that was built in Batavia, loaded on the canal on a barge in Albion, and then shipped out to Rhode Island.
Similarly, wind turbines out of GE, Renewable, Schenectady. So it will be captured in the data, and it should be included in our long-range planning.
Right. It's usually within the annual navigation report that our colleague Ted Westerling puts together. There's really a chart in there that depicts both the tonnage and then the value of that. And again, the 2023 numbers, if I'm remembering correctly, it was 5,000 tons, but the value was like $36 million based on what that equipment was.
The bottom line is it could not be transported by freight, rail, or highway.
Right. And this year, the shipments going up to Champlain for the Champlain Hudson Power Express project, the Ralph Wilson bridges, the aggregate, there's been quite a bit this year compared to the last couple of years.
Yeah. Other questions, comments? Yes, B.
I just want to say that I went to the energy conference that NYSERDA hosted in Syracuse, And there was a comment made by one of the manufacturers of the wind turbines that New York has very restrictive policies about how many trips or how many turbines they can transport. And I'm wondering if there's an opportunity for canals there that we haven't thought about. So David, if you could talk to Joe, because Joe was there, he might be able to kind of fill in my sketchy description of a potential opportunity.
Okay, we'll do.
We have also talked to Schenectady GE too, that's been exploring opportunities, but they're kind of on and off with us about transporting turbines out of the Schenectady plant along the canal. Thank you very much. If there's no further questions or comments for Dave, thanks for that report. We look forward to joining you in the winter. We're going to come to the next portion of the program, which is new business or other business for the CRC, and we understand that Commissioner DeRoller has got some photos to share with us. Ken?
Yes, well, thanks.
We're going to go up to Ken's portion here up on the screen.
Yeah. Ken's got something up here, I think. I want to just touch on the annual Erie Canalway National Heritage Corridor photo contest. It was just kind of interesting, a couple of the images, but just give you a little prelude before the image comes up, right?
Yeah.
These are the photos that make up our beloved calendar.
Yeah.
Every year.
It just struck my fancy because two were from Orleans County, so just, you know, they were kind of cool. Yeah. Or maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
His eyes says they're watching.
Get your faster computer.
Director, while we wait, because I'm the press guy and supposed to be factual, I need to correct my own facts. So as I'm sitting here, I just pulled up the tonnage reports. So the numbers I gave were from 2022. So in 2022, we had 5,032 tons of cargo transported, valued at 36.3 million on the canal system. Last year, we had, so 2023, meaning last year, not this just immediate past year. 2023, we had 23,180 tons, valued at $18.9 million. So I gave you initially the 2022 numbers, and then the 2023 numbers are 23,180 for tonnage, valued at 18.9 million.
So that huge number in 22 was probably the sonar equipment. And then when we tally up for 24, with all the shipments from Champlain Hudson Power Express on these custom made barges with 12.5 miles of cable on each one, you know, probably have a pretty big number again, plus Greenstone ramping up. It looks like Mike's got the photos.
Yes,
It was there.
well, this view is very important for jobs. I work on economic development for jobs in 4 counties, but if this canal can handle those heavy lift items and keep those jobs and companies in New York State, rather than relocating to build these same products because of transportation.
Good there.
It's coming.
All right.
That's a lovely photo.
Lovely photo. We got the old technology, the cameras. Here it is. So here's one that made it on the Erie Canal Bridge called Star Trails. I thought it was kind of neat with your bridge and looking into the heavens here with stars.
Now, how is that? I don't know if you know how that photo is made. Is it
Time lapse.
Time lapse, yeah. Special
so it's the Earth turning that.
I know it's kind of trippy, right?
Yeah, kind of trippy. Isn't it?
I like it.
Kind of interesting. And then there's another one there. You can flip to the other image there. It's one of the. So the winter scene, a winter sunset. But a lot of nice images, and I just was asked Kim, can we just throw a couple up there that
You know, that probably
Keep the journey going there.
that looks like the old Erie Canal because it's, you know, of its drained width there. That's-
Yeah, this would be the most northern point of your Erie Canal in Orleans County and Gaines. Yes. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, so a lot more to go on that calendar. You gotta get your hands on going forward.
I like the winter scenes.
Yeah.
I like the more natural as opposed to created photographs.
Yes.
Yeah, even though they're cool too.
Correct.
Very good, thank you. We have some other folks with us, keeping it within the family first, and then we'll go outside the family. Well, you're all family. David Brooks, we have Path Through History Weekend coming up.
There was this past weekend, it was pretty successful.
This past weekend?
Yeah.
Did you do a tour of the aqueduct?
Yeah, Saturday we had a nice group, it was a manageable size group that came out, did a tour out on the aqueduct due to the stabilization that was completed in May of 2023. We were able to take limited numbers out on occasional tours. So if anybody wants to come out and set up a group, maybe from here, you want to go out, actually walk out on the aqueduct and learn about its history and look at the Otis Eddy Stone that exists still there. We had an Erie Canal immigration game that was played by one of our seasonal staff, created this whole game about the people that emigrated, came through on the canal, and what some of their life experiences would have been. Actually, that correspond to letters that were sent back to other people from archives and different universities and stuff. So it was just a good way to highlight history of New York State and particularly our site.
Anything else coming up, or are you pretty much wrapped up for your?
Pretty much wrapped up. We got a couple of small events. The New York State History Month, so October is New York State History Month. We have another lecture on Tuesday about urban renewal. May or may not be a touchy subject for some people, but urban renewal is that we're doing this Saturday is our cinema Saturday. We're going to show a silent 1920s film, and then we're going to kind of button up a little bit for part of the winter. But over the winter, we're going to do some museum Mondays and some environmental programs and a few other things. You can always find us on our parks page or our Facebook and know what we have going on.
We were surprised to see that many of the people that came to the concert out there, even though they're capital region residents, that was their first time visiting Schoharie Crossing. So we were happy that we encouraged to get them out there through the ASO, but hopefully people that will come back.
Once people discover a lot of the places along the canal, they haven't seen it, they haven't experienced it, they discover it, and it's in their system and they can't let loose. And that's probably as it's gone for a lot of the folks in this room. You visit a canal site and it's almost infectious, but in a really good way.
Good. All right, thank you, David. Other commissioners or agency representatives, either on the screen or here at the table, that would like to bring other or new business to the CRC? We can hear everybody talk, right? Nobody? Okay. Members of the public. Kim?
I don't have a lot. Our season overall was good. I discovered a publication this summer that's put out for paddlecraft by the Heritage Corporation. It's
Right.
Spiral Bound. Very, very complete. And I was like, why don't we have this for the voting publication? I mean, I was like really shocked by it's really a nice publication. It's free. It's like this thick, and it lists, different facilities, what's in the area, but there's nothing like that for the voting publication or voting public. So I thought that was kind of unusual.
We had the cruising guide. Right?
She's talking about the paddling guy. No, but she wants one for canals, and
It's
coming to a desk near you very soon.
Yeah, and I was just like, wow. And I just came from the ESMTA meeting in Albany. So I'm stepping here on my way back. And there was some discussion. This gentleman came and he had this book that he puts together for Amtrak.
I love that
and
book.
it's a great publication. And there was some discussion as to putting something similar to this for our waterways. And his company puts together this. It's a sponsored by Amtrak. But he does like a lot of the legwork, you know, the advertising and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, so even if we could put something like this together for, you know, the voting public, I just think that it's interesting that there's been such an emphasis on paddle sports and the voting people who actually spend money on facilities and the towns, et cetera, don't have the same benefits. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing this summer that I learned.
We do, just a note on the voter resources guide. So a long time ago, Canal Corporation produced one. And it had just been not updated for a number of years or not reproduced. We've had one in draft form for the last little bit, and there's been a team slowly working on it. We've just restarted some of those editing conversations with a goal to actually produce it and have it available for next navigation season. So we've had several meetings. We have others coming up in the calendar. I had a printout that I apparently came out of my bag and left at home on my other desk, but it is, our goal is for the bicentennial for next year to have this document, like the old school spiral bound, available. So
that would be very helpful. I mean, I had a boat that who was on vacation. They were from Canada. They were going to go to New York City for their vacation, and they got stopped because of Debbie and the movable dams, etc. So he ended up in Ilion for a week because that's as far as he could get. And I asked him when he came back through to go back home, I said, how did that go? Because, you know, Ilion's not like a hopping town or anything like that. But he said to me, he goes, it was great because I found that there was a rental car nearby. And so we rented a car, we went to Cooperstown and up to the Adirondacks. And he said, and if we hadn't have been stopped, we wouldn't have made those kind of trips. So there's not much there's not a lot of focus from CRC and stuff like that on this eastern portion, which is the most traveled by out-of-state voters. And so in seeing this paddlecraft thing and knowing this gentleman's story, I was like, you know, and I talked to Kim from the AGLCA, and she said that when they went through on their boat, that sometimes they would stop and she would go exploring as to what's not right on the water, you know, to do some exploring. And I think on the east side, because you don't have a lot of towns that are still vibrant like the west, that are on the canal directly, that the enhancement of what might be nearby would be something to bring to the table. Right. Because like I said before, you know, 80% of the people will never see the west because of their bridge clearances on the west side. Oh boy. So enhancing the east or making it, you know, bringing to light some of the stuff that's along that pathway would be beneficial for these people, because, you know, we get a lot of people that do the Great Loop. You know, I mean, that's gained huge popularity in the last 10 years. And I mean, there's a lot of people that do it. And I think that some of them are disillusioned by the canal because they're not seeing the towns and stuff like that. And I always encourage them, if they can go west, to do it for a few days and then come back and then go north, you know, like they would be doing normally, because I know that the west is what they're envisioning the canal to be. So we have to
we're going to stand
show
by
what the
Shane's,
benefits are on the east.
We're going to stand by for Shane's update of the voter resource guide, which is online. Will it be in print too?
It will be print and online, yes.
Print and online.
Version 5 on my desktop right now.
Pete, do you have anything else to add? You got out once on your boat this season?
did finally get out once on my boat, and I have to tell you, I saw the pictures that made it to the calendar, and I get jealous because I think my pictures are just as good. But I can't.
B is your marina, your marina operator willing to discount your slip because you only got out once this year?
I would never ask such a thing. It's a small business and we have to support the local economy. So there you go. Hi, Kim. It's good to hear your voice.
I know Kim takes very good care of your boat while you're there. Thank you very much.
But just to leverage a little, sorry.
Sorry, I'm just gonna jump into your other explore the communities beyond. On the trail sections, we're doing a lot of signage right now that I was part of the EST, one of the directors who did that. We only had enough money to, keep following east or west, but there's a second round right now going in with canals and the trails to actually do that. That there's a town or a village nearby. Okay, so if that can be meshed with the water elements, I don't know, but on the trail side, that is being looked at. So yes, there's communities that are being overlooked and you're so close to those benefits. Just want you to know that that's in the thinking process.
Very good. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, I was just going to leverage off that same theme, is that our tourism for I Love New York, we put together travel guides all along the different counties, and we're trying to encompass all the views of opportunity for quality of life, including the canal and then what's off that corridor. And I think every image, depending on where you are in the canal, boating in our neck of the woods is very limited. We only have one marina in Niagara County, so you get all the way to Monroe County. And we got the lift bridges. We got 7 lift bridges with 14 foot. And we got some constraints in that model. And
but you have a lot of, they're not necessarily looking for marinas per se, they're looking for tie-ups, and all the communities on the west offer.
Yeah, so when you put the whole image together, I'm saying that each organization or town or community needs to enhance that view.
I agree.
And I would love to share some information that we've done in that direction to enhance. I think the education was touched on this conversation on the bicentennial view, is that there's such an educational lack of what the canal system means, and this 2020-50 plan really opens up that vision. My farmers, I can't get across the canal because of weight limits. Fill it in. Well, the next farmer, we got 28 siphons that are irrigating.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's an educational opportunity. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Very good. Ross, we haven't heard from you, and we appreciate I Love New York and your enthusiasm for the bicentennial. I know we're going to be doing a lot of work together. Is there anything you want to add to the tourism conversation here?
Mainly that we are looking forward to that opportunity. We're already at work promoting the 200th. We've been talking about it with international tour operators. We've been talking about it with press, as we've been talking about sort of events coming up in the next few years with travel journalists. So we're already getting the talk going, but we know that that's going to get into full gear very, very soon. And Brian, obviously, we've had some conversations already about the conference, about the cruise up and down all the way to New York City, the event at the end of that. So we look forward to continuing those conversations and figuring out the opportunities that we can utilize I Love New York's platforms to get people aware of the canal and get out traveling on it.
Good. We know you're gonna fill in for Hope with our team visit to Hudson River Park on the 28th. So we're looking forward to welcoming you then. We're over time here, and we do have to have another meeting before the end of the year. I'm looking at the week of December 16th, which would be the week before Christmas, if not sooner. So we'll probably have that virtually to enable ease of attendance and to culminate the business in the fourth quarter before we get into 2025. Any other comments or issues to come before the CRC before we entertain a motion to adjourn? Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by just a little too fast. You guys are fast. Moved by Commissioner Vittordi, second by Commissioner Iacono. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.